Morning guys, so today is day 3 and I've actually been walking at 2-3 miles, and mainly because, again like last night, it was a very discreet setup. I actually stayed at Ambergate, so again I set my tent up at dusk and got away early this morning. We have walked about 34 miles and we have 21 miles to go, which that I think totals up to 55. So I'm going delirious. It's a bit warmer than I was expecting for the last day. So hopefully, again, camera's starting to go its own way. Now we're going to Belper, cut through Belper town, past the North Strut Mill, and then we'll head up towards Makeney and Milford, or Milford and Makeney. Milford being the place where Jedediah Strut used to live. Now his house has actually been turned into a nursing home, but it's got an interesting tree outside it, which we'll come across later today. And then over to Derby. After Derby we'll follow in the Derwent a little bit further, and then we'll eventually head to the Derwent Mouth, which is where we connect to the River Trent and which is the end of this route. But we need to crack on and walk this one out. This is Ambergate, and that will lead to Hege, and that's Hege Windmill. But we're heading along this way, taking the road now for the moment. There's a single track lane, so not really much traffic there. And in the centre of the picture you can just about make out the town of Belper, and that's where we're heading to next, which I believe is about 2.5 miles away. You look like a scruffy sheep. Most mothers have 2 lambs. This one seems to have 3. She was a lucky lady. Or was she? What, is one of them astray? Is its mum somewhere else? He looks like he's staying there and they've gone off. Well, it was just lucky I just looked at this footpath sign. I thought we would continue on the road, but as there was no real big sign to say Derwent Valley Heritage Way other than that, which you could quite easily miss. Could do with a better sign here, especially as I've got a full proper sign here, and yet they didn't decide to put Derwent Valley Heritage Way on that. They don't look that high on this side from the road, probably 2 feet high. This side's a bit deeper, 8 feet drop, so take care across here. So we just left Whitewell's Lane and now we're heading down towards the Derwent again, and then we'll head back on to, I think it's called Wyvern's Lane, and that will take us into Belper. We're in the Amber Valley now. We're following the trail. Now we're following the Heritage Way and also some sort of CD foot route. Or is that some sort of radioactive route? Actually, just looking at that behind you, there does seem to be a cow's backside stuck into the side, as you do. A little bit funny, couldn't see the signposts from where I was, so I walked away from the road and now they say private property, archery in progress, please keep out. Well, if they put a sign nearer the track, I wouldn't have to walk into the archery line of fire. There's a nice little stream here. We're going to have a look at that. Hopefully we're not getting an arrow in the head. With the tree roots, it looks like it's cascading down. Well, my knee's starting to play up, which isn't good. I've got a few miles to do yet. At the moment I'm waiting for a knee joint replacement because I have acute arthritis in my left knee. And then I've got osteoarthritis in my right knee. Now when I left the armed forces, my injury was my right knee. I believe that through the years my left knee has been taking the strain of my right knee. So now I've got 2 knackered knees. The only problem is I spoke to the doctors about this and they say you're not old enough to have a knee joint replacement because they only last about 15 years. but you can have 2 of them, so that means a total of 30 years. Now I'm 52 now. If I had the operation now, that would say 82, but they're saying I've got to wait for like 18 years. So by 18 years plus another 30, that put me 100. I don't think my walking days are going to last me that long. So the problem is I might end up being in a wheelchair for 5 years before I can get my knee sorted out. Let's hope not. Let's hope we can just keep plodding on and fight through the pain. I was hoping to see a heron and a kingfisher. At the moment I've seen quite a lot of birds over this nature reserve area, and here we have a male and female pheasant, the male being at the rear. Nice nature reserve here, just on the outskirts of Belper. I'm not really sure what that is. It's a sculpture of some form. It's a bit like aliens or alien. Answers on a postcard, or leave them in the comments if you know what it is. Anyway, we're coming towards Strut's Mill, Strut's North Mill, which is beyond those trees, but we'll have a better look at it in a moment. This mill probably in a way more significant than Cromford Mill, mainly because Jedediah Strut had the money that Sir Richard Arkwright needed. Sir Richard had the vision and the design, he didn't have really the money. So he needed Jedediah Strut to come up with the money. So in a way, it's a bit like Dragon's Den of the day. This is Strut Mill. After Cromford Mill was built, Jedediah saw that the vision that Sir Richard had was worthwhile, so he built his own mill, but somewhat different to the original mill of Cromford Mill. Although the mill that we do see here is not the original. The original mill was burnt down about 4 years after it was built, and then he built this mill instead, but it's got some significance to it as well. So the mill that we see in front of us is the North Mill. This is the original mill, although half of it was burnt down due to a fire. Now on the left is the East Mill, and this is the revised building. Its significance is that one being that the building was after the fire. Stuart thought that I don't need to have another fire. Now this one is built as a fire retardant building, because within the building he's built archways of brick which adds air through the building, which reduced the chances of it catching fire. So the interior of the North Mill was more wood of an interior with the cotton, which was easy to become a blaze. But the newer building within the red brick structure is metal girders. So this was built as a first fire retardant building, but due to the height of it for its time, and also being built of a metal structure, this is also the blueprint for the first skyscraper in the world. As we're going to see, East Mill built in 1912, although certain parts of it were built early 1800s. We're going to head into the historical town of Belper. So we're just passing the North Mill on our left hand side. And the fountain's 1858. We're going to head up George Street, which has cluster cottages. So this is George Street, and you can see the houses on the left hand side. These are the cluster cottages. So either window of the chimney is a different house, back to back, and then by the side of it. So there's 4 houses there. So basically you get a quarter each, really. The back, just a brick wall, no windows or no way to get to the back because it's somebody else's house, the opposite side. So not only is the houses either side of you, there is also a house behind you. As we reach the Naylor's cottage, we turn onto Newbreck Road, where we see this footpath. Now it's now actually marked as part of the Derwent Valley Heritage Way, which is a pity, but it is the path that we need. Well, I'm not sure if I'd like to play football on this pitch. I mean, the pitch is quite small, but you put it on a quite steep hill. Every time you kick the ball, it's going to roll to the right. Not the best pitch in the world, but I've seen worse than this. So as you can see on the left hand side on the post, we do see a signpost that says that we are on the right track, and also we've got steps to go up to. Lovely. Not sure what bird that is. I thought it was a sparrow, female sparrow, but it did look like a bit like a redwing. I'm not sure. Is it a crazy golf course? I'm missing some holes, if it is. Or is it a French way garden? There's a panda there. Just in front we can see the chimney of Milford. Now if this is Milford, I've got a feeling that the buildings over there is Duffield. And if we look across this way, directly in front, we can just about see a church. Now I do believe that is Little Eaton, and that's where we're aiming for. After Makeney, we're going to Little Eaton. From Little Eaton, we head to Darley Abbey and then into Derby. Even the camera can't lie that hill is steep. Sunny Hill. I think it was the steepest hill on the whole portway. And then at the top we see the tower, just to the left of the tower. The air shaft, and there is a couple more air shafts as you follow the ridge line. Hello, how are you today? I'm doing the Derwent Valley Heritage Way. What are you doing this evening? So on our right is Mcany Hall. Part of the Strut family lived here. I do believe that Jeremiah Strut was the one that had this commissioned, but I'm not sure if he actually lived here. Now this is the rear. The front looks a little bit better. Now, although we missed part of Milford, in Milford they do have Hopping Hill, which is also a set of cluster cottages like in Belper. Now that's when you know you made it. When you drive, it takes 5 minutes to walk from one end to the other. The River Derwent has widened now as it heads down towards the River Trent. We're going to head along this way, across the fields, and then we'll get up to Peckwash Mill, which I was commissioned to paint the building. And on top of that, I can't remember how many it was, I think it was 2,000 Christmas cards I did. As the person that owns it is I can't remember if he was a lawyer or an insurance company, but he was like the chief person for Europe. Lived in London, in Kensington as his major house, but funny enough, that's his weekend pad. And the actual chimney mill of the mill is behind me. It's actually not attached to the mill itself. Now the gardens, now when I came here, they were fixing the gardens up. Now it is state of the art. It's like mission impossible to get across there. It's all lasers across the floor. Now when I did my commission, I had, obviously being a mill, the river runs by the side of it, and actually part of the river goes actually under the house itself, or the mill, with waders. That the owner gave me some waders, and I got in the actual river up to my waist and took photos of the mill looking up from the river itself. One of those ended up on a Christmas card. I did 2 designs for the Christmas card. I've got wild garlic by the side of us, smelling freshly. And we'll head towards the entrance of Peckwash Mill. You should actually see the chimney just about here. Interesting garage, Little Eaton crossing. Now, looks like they've spent a lot of time doing that. Problem being is, the rest of the house looks in a sorry state. Needs a good old clean and paint. But it is for sale. So the dismantled railway continues down alongside this little brook. Now we're going to turn left. We're going to go over the bridge and then turn right, and then we'll follow the road a little bit as we head down towards Darley Abbey. When my son used to play rugby, one of the fathers of the rugby team, like myself, used to own this pub. So we used to have a quick swifty down here now and again. And this is the Abbey. Here is the remains of an Augustan abbey, although no remains there, just a field. once we get the other end of this, we should be in the city of Derby, and then heading up to the last mill of the Derwent Valley Mills, which is the Silk Mill. So as we stand at the River Derwent, across the water we have the fields of Chester Green. Now back in the day, Chester Green used to be a big Roman settlement, and those fields in front of us is where the Roman settlement was. So this is the Silk Mill in the city of Derby. So we've reached the city of Derby. So we're going to continue along the river now. We're going to stay along its edge for the next couple of miles on a nice laid out path. Prince Charles Edward Stuart arrived in Derby on 4th of December 1745 and held council of war in Exeter House to this site. So just looking back at the Silk Mill, on our right hand side we have the old constabulary and the magistrates courts, and then beyond that is the council house. To John Lew, who built the Silk Mill. So the time is about 5 o'clock, I think, and we've got about over 7 or 8 miles to go, and we will be at the end of the Derwent Valley Heritage Way. So in the centre of the picture we've got Derby Cathedral, and to the left of that we've got the Derby City Council buildings, and then this grand weir in front. Well, I must admit, these electric bikes, they creep up behind you. No warning. And there's always oddities as you walk along the way, like this one. These two pillars in the middle of nowhere. Just look like they should be in somebody's fireplace. I've got no idea what they're for. They're sitting there for a reason, and I'm guessing they're solid metal. They are indeed iron. So as we've been heading through the city of Derby, I've come across a few of these, and I noticed somebody flashing a card against one. So what it seems to be is that if you're walking or cycling and you run between these spots, you snap your card and you earn points. Now, I'm not sure what the points get you, but interesting and creative idea to get people outdoors. Now the funny thing is, I just saw a guy come up and scan it. But he seems to cycle in his circles. We've seen him 3 times come up to this one and scan it. I'm not sure if that's the objective. It's a nice tarmac path here. It's the Riverside Walk, it's named as we've got the river on our left hand side. And we're heading towards the wind turbines. I think that's called Wyvern Park, where the wind turbines are. And just before that, we should come across Pride Park, which is the home of Derby County. And as we're walking along this path, the Riverside Walk, as we leave Derby, I just came across a nice lady and we had a little chat. She's a bit of a speed walker, I believe, because she said that she needs to get on and speed up her tempo. And I mean, I don't know if you can see her. She's, oh, you can just see her in the distance, walking a bit faster than I am. But I keep stopping for filming because I'm filming it for you. Anyway, we best crack on because my object is to get to the end point before dark. Pride Park, that's it there. So that's the home of Derby County Football Club. Right guys, we are coming towards the end of this walk. Leaving Derby. I'm not sure what the next place we're coming to. I think it might be Ambaston. And then we're heading towards Shardlow. Then after that, I think we hit the canal for a little bit, the Trent and Mersey Canal, before we reach the Derwent Mouth, and that is where it meets the River Trent and the end of the walk. Our 55 miles are up. Hopefully you've enjoyed this walk. We've got a few more miles to go. So as we look across the river, we can see this large building on the other side, which is Rolls-Royce, and it's a big business in Derby. A lot of manufacturing going off there, and I think they're doing stuff with submariners as well, engines for airplanes. I do know that. And they make fancy cars as well. So there's another place in Derby that's it's quite large manufacturers other than Rolls-Royce, called Bombardier, and they make the tubes, London Underground. So there's a wealth of industrial trade in Derby. Rolls-Royce, Bombardier, the cotton industry. I'm sure there's plenty more. Now I just noticed this quite nice signpost. It does say Little Eaton, 8.25 miles. Fortunately we're not going that far. Swaxton, where Bonnie Prince Charlie went. Now when I started filming this, there was loads of midgets flying above this sign. Above me now, and there is quite a few above me, so we best shift on. I'm not sure if it is a great crested grebe. It does look like a type of grebe. I can't really count how many ducklings there's. There's got to be at least 7, possibly 9. I'm sure there's one of the ducklings is sitting on her back now. A bit lazy. No, he just jumped off. Well, proper BMX racing track here. So there's a bit of a story behind these wind turbines. They've been up a few years now, and it's next to Wyvern Park, I believe, which is a retail park. Now, actually, when they first went up, they worked for about a month, maybe less than that, and then they had to stop them for several months because they realised the frequency of the turbines is the exact same frequency as Derbyshire Constabulary radio frequency. They were turned off, and they had to work out what frequency they were going to change it to. So a bit of an error there, an expensive error, I believe. Well, we haven't seen a heron, but we have got a cormorant there. He's spreading his wings. Well, I just saw a heron and it just crapped near enough over me, but I still missed it. Yes, we caught a heron just as it flew off. So, and I've got to find a kingfisher now, although a better look of a heron would do as well. Well, I think he's having a bit of a sleep. Don't know what hit him. I would guess all the feathers must have been a fox. The bridge that we've reached now is the B5010. Now, if you go that way, you'll come to Burwash. And if you go this way, you'll come to Elverston and Elverston Country Park, where Elverston Hall is. But we are still following the river, and we're going straight over it and over the other side. Now, I do see a campsite on this side. Anyway, let's keep going. I think we've got 4 miles to go. Time is a-ticking. And it's quite a nice sky. It's a bit cloudy, but we might get a nice sunset if we get to Derwent Mouth on time before sunset. So the area we walk along now, towards Ambaston, is also, as you can see, it's quite flat. And when the River Derwent does rise over the winter periods, when we have a lot of rain, this area, although there's a slight bank in front of me, is usually underwater. Now, there are places around here, Ambaston, Wilne, are renowned for a bit of flooding quite often. So fortunately, it's nice and summery today. It's a great time to walk, because obviously not walking through floodwater. That's a white heron. Mrs. Heron. So we're just arriving in Ambaston. So in a moment we're going to take the road and we'll follow that down into Shardlow. So although it's quite a traditional hamlet, we've got a very modern house here. And on the opposite side, it's sort of like a traditional but new build. And then just behind this tree, there's a little building. That's the pumping station for this hamlet. Okay, we can just make out the building. That is Shardlow Hall. Now, we have talked about that in one of my previous videos. So we're heading into Shardlow now. So we've still got a couple of miles to go. So it looks like it's a schoolhouse as we head into Shardlow. Sunset is up behind us. Well, not yet, but we're about half an hour from it. And we've still got just under 2 miles to do. On the right hand side, we have the Dog and Duck pub and a Georgian building that repointed all the way around. Near enough finished it. As we walk along London Road into the heart of Shardlow, I have done a walk about Shardlow and the canal. If you'd like to see that video, I'll leave a link to here, where I talk about the history of this ancient inland port. There's quite a few listed buildings in Shardlow. There's another one on my right hand side, another Georgian, a late Georgian, early Victorian building. This one's called Shardlow House. We've got Shardlow Manor on our left hand side, another grand listed building. Again, you can see some of the windows have been filled in, part of window tax. coming towards the church. There's been a settlement at Shardlow for thousands of years, because nearby is Hanson's quarry pits. A few years ago there was a log boat found there, and then from there the Romans have been here, and after that the Anglo-Saxons came here and built a port. So it's been in full use for a long time. And then when the Industrial Revolution, canals were here back in the late 1700s, early 1800s, then it became a flourishing canal port for people that were moving goods from the river to the canal and vice versa. So on our right we have the church of St. James, and then across the road is Shardlow Hall beyond that driveway. I'm not really sure what this structure is. Well, it looked like a beacon from first. Is it something to do with inland port and pirates? It looks like the bird's nest of top of a pirate ship. The building at the bottom of the road is called Broughton House. By the side of it, the white building is the navigation pub, and then we're going to head down onto the Trent and Mersey Canal, and then we'll head to the Derwent Mouth, which is the end of this walk. So this is called the Clock Warehouse, because you see the archway there is water that goes through it, like an old mill building, and there used to be a canal boat that went through it. I'm not sure if that's still there now. We're coming towards the Heritage Centre on our right hand side now, and once we cross this bridge I think we'll head on the canal on the left hand side, which will take us to our final destination. This year I'm aiming to get another couple of walks out, long distance walks. So we've got the South Downs Way and the Pilgrims Way, so they'll be coming out later this year as well, and possibly about Christmas time we're going to do a coastal walk. So this is the older part of Shardlow. Well, the old warehouse, it would probably have been a storage building alongside the canal. There's our goal, the Derwent Mouth. So we best get to it. So Preston Brook is 92 miles, and this post was put in 1819, a bit of a relic of the past. And we're in Shardlow, so as I mentioned, the mouth is this way, a mile and a half to go. So let's get those last few steps done. I wonder how many steps I've actually done. How many steps is 55 miles? It's good to have a train track in your garden. You never know when you need to go out on a long distance journey. Wonder if Thomas will take you. Well, there's a heron and a nice sunset, so we best get there. It's going to be a bit of a laugh now because I walked a lot of miles today. I'm getting a bit tired, but we're on near the end. this is the first bridge of the Trent and Mersey Canal, or it's the last bridge I will be passing under before we get to the end point, which I believe is about half a mile away. We are nearly there. As it says, Derwent Mouth Lock, so we can't be far from the Derwent Mouth and the River Trent. And it is getting a bit dark. Nearly there. As it says, all routes straight on. The marina, which is Shardlow Marina, is on our right, and the River Trent. And the River Derwent is on our left, which is a no entry for our boats, or any boats I guess. I'm not sure why, because we have seen some boats on it along the way. Right guys, as you can see, the sun is setting, or the sun has set behind me, and it is starting to get a bit dark. It's been a long walk. It's been a rewarding walk, as the treasures I've seen along the way. Wildlife, being by water, and as well all the history. Where I am now, I've got the last few steps, funny enough. I'll turn the camera around. We walk these last few steps. I know it's going to be dark and a bit grainy now, but can't help that really. But this is it. The end of the road. The end of the way. And if we look to our left, a bit of a nice sunset to finish it off. That water just in front of us, you can see some swannies further up the river. That is the end of the River Derwent as it enters the River Trent, which we see in front of us. So this is a connection of three. So we've got the River Trent here, which is the third biggest river in the UK, a quite wide point at this. And then looking back, we have the River Derwent, so the mouth of the River Derwent there, and then we've just walked along the Trent and Mersey Canal as well, looking back that way. Now the point I'm actually at now is an old pack horse bridge, so we can, if I move back a little bit, you'll just be able to see the last remains of it here. Now this used to cross the River Trent straight in front of us, heading towards that swan that's directly in front of us. It came down several times due to flooding, strong flooding. Originally it was a wooden bridge, and then after that it became a bit of a metal bridge, eventually a concrete bridge, but all of them ended up being washed away by the river. The bridge was no longer needed for the pack horses. This bridge was demolished, and then if we look to our right, a new bridge was built as a pedestrian and cyclist bridge. That was built, I believe, in 2001. It is another way that you can follow the River Trent as part of the Trent and Valley Way, which will take you up to the River Humber, which is where the River Trent's mouth is. So, as you can see, it's getting dark quite fast here because the light is fading. Now, if I turn it around, maybe that might improve things a little bit. In fact, actually, if we turn it around again, sorry, hopefully you're not getting too dizzy. So directly in behind me is the mouth to the River Derwent, and that's our end point. So we've completed it, 55 miles. We did it in 3 days. I will be doing the Southdowns Way and the Pilgrims Way this summer. So with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. So look after yourselves, have a good time. Bye-bye hikers.